Commander Senna Voss of the hegemony science vessel Eternal Truth stood motionless before the ship's quantum array, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing with confusion. For 3 standard cycles, the array had been detecting impossible energy signatures from an unremarkable yellow star system, designated Sol 3 in hegemony charts. "Display the quantum variance patterns," she ordered, her voice carrying the characteristic harmonics of the collective's ruling class. The holographic display materialized before her, showing energy signatures that defied conventional physics. Her second, Science Officer Krell, approached with measured steps. "Commander, the latest deep scans confirm it. The quantum fluctuations are emanating from the 3rd planet. But there's something else, something that doesn't align with any known natural phenomenon." Senna's outer membrane rippled with concern. According to all official hegemony records, Sol 3, or Earth as its inhabitants called it, housed only a primitive species barely capable of reaching their own moon. Their technology was crude: fossil fuel engines, basic fission reactors, and primitive chemical rockets. Yet the energy signatures suggested capabilities far beyond anything even the hegemony had achieved in its 10,000 years of technological advancement. "Show me the surface scans," Senna commanded. The holographic display shifted, revealing familiar images of Earth's cities: inefficient grid-based power systems, polluting vehicles, and primitive space stations. Nothing that could explain the quantum readings. "Perhaps our instruments are malfunctioning," Krell suggested, though his tone indicated he didn't believe it. The Eternal Truth carried the most sophisticated detection equipment in the hegemony fleet. Senna's response was cut short by an alert from the communications array. "Commander," the communications officer called out, "we're detecting a signal. It's broadcasting on all frequencies, including several that should be impossible for their level of technology." The message was brief, transmitted in perfect hegemonic standard, despite no recorded contact between Earth and the collective. "This is a notification to all spacefaring civilizations. Earth and its solar system are restricted space. Do not approach. This is your only warning." The message repeated in 300 different languages, including several thought extinct for millennia. Senna felt her crystalline core vibrate with unease. The transmission itself was a technological impossibility. Earth shouldn't have known these languages existed, let alone be able to broadcast in them. "Orders, Commander?" Krell asked, his usual scientific detachment wavering. Before Senna could respond, the ship's sensors detected something new. What they had initially classified as space debris around Earth began emitting their own quantum signatures. Thousands of small objects, perfectly disguised as asteroids and space junk, suddenly revealed themselves as active technological devices. "They've been watching us," Senna realized. "Every piece of debris, every seemingly natural satellite, they're all monitoring stations. The entire system is an observatory." The implications were staggering. Earth hadn't just achieved advanced technology, they had mastered the art of hiding it. While the hegemony proudly displayed their achievements across the galaxy, humanity had chosen to remain hidden, watching, learning, and waiting. "Prepare a priority transmission to the Collective Council," Senna ordered. "Classification: Omega-1. Subject: Discovery of deceptive civilization." As she composed her report, Senna couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't a chance discovery. The humans had allowed them to detect the quantum signatures. The warning wasn't a response to their presence. It was the next step in a carefully choreographed revelation. "Initiate withdrawal procedures," she commanded. "Standard departure vector, minimal power signature." And Krell: "Mark this in the ship's log. First contact protocol override. Species demonstrates unprecedented deceptive capabilities. Exercise extreme caution." As the Eternal Truth began its retreat from the Sol system, the quantum signatures from Earth pulsed in complex patterns that suggested not just advanced technology, but a fundamental understanding of reality that made the hegemony's greatest achievements seem primitive in comparison. The humans had given their warning. What happened next would depend entirely on how the collective chose to respond. But one thing was clear. They had just discovered a civilization that had mastered not just quantum mechanics, but the art of strategic patience. In her private quarters later, Senna added a personal note to her official report. In all my cycles of exploration, I have never encountered a species that chose to appear weak when they were strong. This alone makes humanity unique, and potentially more dangerous than anything we have yet encountered in the galaxy. The quantum signals continued their complex dance behind them as they departed, a reminder that somewhere on that blue planet, humanity was watching, waiting, and allowing them to leave with precisely the knowledge they had been chosen to receive. Grand Admiral Thex stood before the Hegemony High Council, his crystalline exoskeleton refracting the chamber's pale light. The council had deliberated for 7 cycles over Commander Voss's report, and their decision was exactly what he feared they would make. "The response fleet stands ready," he announced, his harmonic tones echoing through the ancient chamber. 3 battle groups, equipped with our most advanced quantum shielding and reality anchor technology. If these humans are indeed manipulating quantum fields, we will neutralize their capabilities. Supreme Counselor Mira's bioluminescent patterns flickered with concern. And if Commander Voss's caution was warranted, this species has hidden their true nature from the entire galaxy. That suggests capabilities we might not fully comprehend. With respect, Supreme Counselor. Thex's mandibles clicked softly. Hiding is not the same as fighting. The humans have crafted an elaborate deception, yes, but deception is the tool of the weak. Our fleet carries enough firepower to reduce their cities to ash. Their warning is clearly a bluff, one we must call if the hegemony is to maintain its authority. 3 days later, Thex watched from his flagship's command center as the fleet approached the Sol system's outer boundary. Their quantum-dampening fields were active, creating what should have been an impenetrable barrier against any quantum-based technology. "No response to our presence," his sensor officer reported. "Wait." Detecting unusual activity in the Kuiper Belt region, points of light began appearing around them. Thousands of them, each no bigger than a personal transport. The objects had been perfectly disguised as ice and rock, indistinguishable from natural space debris until the moment of activation. "Fascinating," Thex mused. "Some kind of automated defense system. Target and eliminate." The command died in his throat as the small objects suddenly linked together, forming complex geometric patterns that seemed to twist in ways his eyes couldn't follow. Space itself appeared to ripple around them. "Sir," his science officer's voice cracked with alarm. "Those aren't weapons. They're observers, quantum-entangled pairs. The humans have been using them to study our technology, our capabilities, our tactical responses. They're learning from us in real time." Thex felt his first tremor of uncertainty. The humans hadn't just prepared defenses. They had turned their entire solar system into a vast laboratory for studying potential adversaries. Every movement his fleet made was being analyzed, categorized, and understood. "Launch probes," he ordered. "Full spectrum analysis. I want to know exactly what we're dealing with." The probes never made it past Jupiter's orbit. They simply ceased to exist, their quantum signatures scattered across space-time in a way that defied the laws of physics as the hegemony understood them. A transmission cut through their communications, displaying a human female with silver hair, sitting in what appeared to be a primitive wooden chair. The setting was deliberately mundane, almost mocking in its simplicity. "Admiral Thex," she smiled warmly, as if greeting an old friend. "I'm Dr. Elena Zhang, Earth Defense Council. We've been studying your approach since you entered the Oort cloud. Your quantum dampening technology is quite impressive for a level 3 civilization. We were particularly interested in the crystalline matrix you use for field generation. It's given us several ideas for improvement." Thex's exoskeleton hardened with rage. "You dare." "We dare nothing, Admiral," Dr. Zhang interrupted gently. "We simply observe, learn, and prepare. Your fleet's presence here has been most educational. However, you're now approaching the demonstration boundary. Given your civilization's history of aggressive expansion, we've prepared a small example of why our warning should be heeded. One of the geometric patterns surrounding Thex's fleet shifted slightly. In that instant, every quantum-based system on his ships simultaneously reversed polarity. Weapons, shields, and drive systems all became perfectly harmonious with their opposite states, canceling each other out in a display of technological precision that bordered on artistry. "A taste of what we can do," Dr. Zhang explained. "Your ships are unharmed, but I trust you now understand that your technological advantage is, let's say, less substantial than you believed. You have 1 hour to retreat beyond Neptune's orbit before we begin the next phase of demonstration." The transmission ended, leaving Thex staring at the now dark screen. His entire fleet had been neutralized without a single shot fired, their most advanced technology rendered useless by an enemy that hadn't even considered them worth destroying. "Orders, sir," his second-in-command asked quietly. Thex watched as the geometric patterns continued their complex dance around his helpless ships, each movement revealing new impossibilities, new demonstrations of power so far beyond hegemony science that they could barely be classified as technology. "Retreat," he commanded, his crystalline form dulled with the weight of realization, "and prepare a full report for the Council. The humans didn't just warn us away, they wanted us to come. Every action we've taken has taught them more about our capabilities while revealing nothing about their true strength." As the fleet limped away from Earth's solar system, Thex couldn't shake the feeling that they had just failed a test they never knew they were taking. The humans had demonstrated not just technological superiority, but a level of strategic thinking that made the hegemony's 10,000 years of expansion seem like a child's war games. The warning, he now understood, hadn't been a threat. It had been a courtesy, one his pride had foolishly ignored. The Hegemony High Council's emergency session had lasted 15 cycles when Dr. Elena Zhang's hologram appeared uninvited in their secured chamber. The ancient hall, with its towering crystalline spires and quantum-locked gates, had been considered impenetrable. Her presence was as casual as if she'd walked through an open door. "Your security systems are quite sophisticated," she said, settling into a holographic recreation of her wooden chair. "We particularly admire the crystalline quantum encryption. However, you might want to consider the dangers of using technology reverse-engineered from the precursor artifacts you found in the Centauri sector. They left some interesting backdoors." Supreme Counselor Mira's patterns flared with shock. The precursor discoveries were the hegemony's most closely guarded secret. How could you possibly know about? "We were there," Zhang smiled. 4,000 years ago, when your archaeological teams first discovered the ruins. We've been watching, learning, understanding. Your civilization's journey has been fascinating to observe." The council chamber erupted in chaos. 4,000 years of secret observation. The implications were staggering. Grand Admiral Thex, still shaken from his fleet's encounter, stepped forward. "Impossible. Our records show your species only achieved spaceflight a century ago." "No, Admiral," Zhang corrected gently. "Your records show what we wanted them to show. Humanity achieved quantum field manipulation nearly 10,000 years ago. We reached the stars while your species was still debating whether to leave your oceans." She gestured, and the chamber's air filled with holographic displays, showing Earth's true history. Ancient quantum reactors hidden beneath pyramids, consciousness transfer technology disguised as religious meditation practices, cities that appeared primitive from above, but extended kilometers into the planet's crust housing computational arrays that could outthink galaxy-spanning empires. "We learned early in our development that power attracts power," Zhang continued. "We watched countless civilizations rise and fall, each believing they had reached the pinnacle of achievement, each eventually destroying themselves or others in the name of progress. We chose a different path." The displays shifted to show vast networks of quantum observers scattered throughout the galaxy, all disguised as natural phenomena. Entire stars repurposed as computational devices while appearing to be normal stellar bodies. Planets that were actually ancient monitoring stations, their surfaces deliberately crafted to look untouched by intelligence. Your recent incursion taught us much about your current technological state, Zhang noted. Your quantum dampening fields, while primitive, showed interesting approaches we hadn't considered. We've already adapted several of their principles into our defense grid. Thank you for that. One of the younger council members, his crystalline form still showing the iridescence of recent metamorphosis, spoke up. If you're so advanced, why reveal yourselves now? Why not simply remain hidden? Because choice matters, Zhang replied. We've watched your hegemony expand, absorbing or destroying civilizations at will. Usually, we simply help those civilizations hide themselves as we do. But sometimes, a civilization needs to be shown that there are powers beyond their understanding, for their own sake. She stood, her hologram perfectly mimicking the movement of real fabric and flesh. Humanity has had 10 millennia to prepare for this moment. Every apparent weakness we've shown has been carefully calculated. Every piece of technology you've encountered has been purposefully placed. We are not revealing ourselves out of fear or necessity, but because you need to understand what exists beyond your current comprehension. The chamber's quantum-locked gates suddenly shimmered, revealing glimpses of impossible spaces beyond. Vast technological complexes that seemed to fold in on themselves, structures that existed in more dimensions than the hegemony could perceive. What you're seeing is one of our smaller research facilities, Zhang explained. It exists in a fold of space-time we created several thousand years ago. We have millions of them, each dedicated to understanding different aspects of reality. Your entire fleet could have fired every weapon it possessed at Earth, and not a single shot would have reached our true civilization. Supreme Counselor Mira's patterns had shifted to the deep blues of profound contemplation. You're not just warning us away from Earth, she realized. You're warning us about ourselves. Precisely, Zhang nodded. Your civilization stands at a crossroads. Continue on your current path of conquest and exploitation, and you will eventually encounter forces beyond your comprehension. Forces that might not be as patient or as gentle as we are. She paused, letting the implications sink in. There are things in this galaxy far older and more powerful than humanity. We hide not out of fear, but because we learned long ago that true power lies in understanding when not to use it. Consider this conversation a gift, a chance to learn that lesson without paying the price we did. The holographic displays faded, leaving only Dr. Zhang's image. We will continue to watch, as we always have. The choice of what to do with this knowledge is yours. But remember, our warning stands. Earth and its solar system remain restricted space. Not because we fear you, but because we respect you enough to give you a chance to grow beyond what you are. With that, her hologram disappeared, leaving the Hegemony Council to contemplate a universe far more complex and mysterious than they had ever imagined. Their civilization, which had thought itself at the pinnacle of achievement, now understood they were merely children playing at the edges of a vast cosmic ocean of knowledge. In the cycles following Dr. Zhang's revelation, the hegemony underwent a transformation more profound than any in its 10,000-year history. The High Council chambers, once filled with discussions of expansion and conquest, now echoed with debates about the nature of progress itself. Supreme Counselor Mira stood before the assembled representatives of 1,000 worlds, her bioluminescent patterns shifting with careful consideration. The humans have shown us something we failed to see in all our millennia of advancement. That true civilization is measured not by the power it wields, but by the wisdom with which it chooses not to use that power. The chamber's holographic displays showed footage from across hegemony space. Quantum detection erased discovering hidden civilizations that had been there all along, societies that had chosen to follow humanity's path of concealment rather than dominance. Grand Admiral Thex, his crystalline form still bearing the marks of his encounter with Earth's defenses, addressed the assembly. We've detected quantum signatures similar to Earth's technology in systems we thought uninhabited. The galaxy is not as empty as we believed. We were simply too blind to see those who chose not to be seen. A junior scientist, her patterns bright with excitement, projected new data into the chamber center. We've begun to understand some of the principles behind human quantum manipulation. Their technology doesn't just control reality. It suggests an entirely different way of thinking about existence itself. They don't impose their will on the universe. They've learned to dance with it. The implications rippled through the assembled representatives like waves through a quantum field. The hegemony had always approached technology as a means of control, of bending the universe to their will. The humans had shown them a different path, one of harmony rather than dominance. But what of our security? Demanded one of the more militant council members. If we abandon our military advancement, how will we protect ourselves? Mira's patterns pulsed with quiet amusement. The humans have been protecting civilizations from us for millennia. Perhaps it's time we learn to protect ourselves through understanding rather than strength. Through quantum channels across the galaxy, reports began flowing in of other revelations. Archaeological teams discovered that many of the primitive artifacts they had dismissed over the centuries were actually sophisticated quantum devices, hiding in plain sight. Ancient cave paintings contained patterns that, when viewed through quantum lenses, revealed themselves as technical schematics of unimaginable complexity. They've been teaching us all along, realized one of the senior archaeologists. Every primitive civilization we encountered, every simple artifact we discovered, they were breadcrumbs, leading us toward understanding, if only we had the wisdom to see them. The hegemony's greatest scientists began to understand that what they had thought was the pinnacle of technological achievement was merely the beginning. Their quantum dampening fields, once considered the height of their capabilities, were like a child's first attempts at writing compared to the poetry of the cosmos. In the deepest reaches of hegemony space, warships were being repurposed as exploration vessels. The quantum technology that had once powered weapons was now being used to detect the subtle signatures of hidden civilizations, not to conquer them, but to learn from them. "We've detected something remarkable," announced a researcher at one of the newly established quantum observation posts. "The quantum signatures we're finding. They're communicating with each other. There's an entire network of advanced civilizations out there, sharing knowledge and resources in ways we never imagined possible." The humans had given them more than a warning. They had given them a glimpse of a possible future. A future where advancement wasn't measured in territory controlled or resources consumed, but in understanding gained and wisdom shared. As the cycles passed, the hegemony began to change. Their once aggressive expansion slowed, then stopped entirely. Instead, they turned their attention to the mysteries that had always surrounded them, hidden in plain sight. They learned to listen to the quantum whispers of reality itself, to see the patterns that had always been there, waiting to be understood. Some of the more impatient members of the council struggled with this new direction. "How long must we wait?" they would ask. "When will we be ready to join this hidden network of advanced civilizations?" Mira's response was always the same. "The humans didn't just show us their power, they showed us their patience. They waited 10,000 years to reveal themselves, not because they had to, but because they understood that true advancement cannot be rushed. We will be ready when we learn to value wisdom over power, understanding over control." In her private chambers, Mira often found herself contemplating the wooden chair Dr. Zhang had chosen to appear in. Such a simple thing, yet so profound in its statement. The humans, with all their impossible technology and power, had chosen to present themselves not through displays of strength, but through symbols of simplicity and wisdom. The hegemony had begun its own journey of transformation, learning that the greatest power lies not in controlling the universe, but in understanding one's place within it. And somewhere out there, watching with patient eyes and quiet approval, humanity continued its eternal vigil, guarding not just their own civilization, but the very concept of wisdom itself. 1,000 cycles after humanity's revelation, Supreme Counselor Mira stood at the observation deck of the research vessel Eternal Seeker, watching as her scientists studied a phenomenon that would have been impossible to detect in the hegemony's previous age of expansion. The quantum fields around them danced with patterns that spoke of civilizations rising, evolving, and choosing their own paths. "We've confirmed another one," senior researcher Cax reported, his crystalline form vibrating with excitement. "A pre-FTL civilization in the Carina sector. They've already begun masking their quantum signatures. They're choosing to hide, just as humanity did." Mira's patterns rippled with satisfaction. In the time since Earth's warning, the hegemony had discovered hundreds of emerging civilizations making the same choice: to advance not through dominance, but through understanding. Each discovery was a reminder of how blind they had been in their age of conquest. "Have you noticed the pattern?" asked Dr. Venna, one of their leading quantum theorists. She gestured at the holographic display showing thousands of stars. "The civilizations we're finding, they're not random. They form a network, like neurons in a vast cosmic brain. Each one choosing to hide, yet somehow remaining connected through quantum entanglement." The display shifted, revealing layers of quantum communication flowing between seemingly empty star systems. What had once appeared to be vacant space was now revealed as a complex tapestry of hidden advancement, with humanity serving as silent guardians of this emerging galactic consciousness. A communication request chimed softly. The quantum signature marked it as coming from Earth. Dr. Zhang's familiar hologram appeared, still seated in her wooden chair. But this time, she wasn't alone. Representatives from dozens of formerly hidden civilizations sat with her in what appeared to be a simple garden. "You've been watching us," Mira stated, recognizing the moment for what it was. Zhang smiled. "As we always have, your transformation has been remarkable. You've learned to see with new eyes, to understand power in a different way. The question is, what will you do with this understanding?" Mira gestured to the quantum display. "We've been finding them, the civilizations you've been protecting all along. Teaching them, as you once taught us." "Not teaching," one of the other representatives corrected. His form was energy-based, barely contained within a field of quantum probability. "Guiding. As humanity guided us, each civilization must find its own path to understanding." Another representative, this one appearing as a complex crystalline structure similar to the hegemony's own ancient form, added, "We have watched your people move from conquest to contemplation. You no longer seek to control the galaxy, you seek to understand it. And that," Zhang said, "is why we're here. The hegemony has reached a turning point. You've learned to see the truth that has always been there, that the greatest civilizations are not those that stand above others, but those that help others stand." The garden scene expanded, revealing it wasn't on Earth at all, but in one of the quantum-folded spaces humanity had created millennia ago. "This is the Council of Hidden Stars," Zhang explained. "We are the guardians of a different path of advancement, one that values wisdom over power, understanding over control. And now, we extend an invitation to the hegemony." Mira's patterns shifted to deep purple, the color of profound realization. "You want us to join you. We want you to choose," corrected another representative, their form shifting between states of matter like waves on a quantum sea. "As we all chose, as humanity chose 10,000 years ago. The path of the hidden is not for everyone. It requires patience, wisdom, and the strength to appear weak when you are strong." The implication struck Mira like a quantum wave collapsing into certainty. The hegemony wouldn't just be joining an alliance, they would be becoming part of something far more profound. A guardian species, helping to guide younger civilizations toward understanding rather than dominance. "The choice must be unanimous," Zhang explained. "Every world in your territory must decide whether to step onto this path. We will wait, as we always have, for however long it takes." Mira looked at the quantum display again, seeing it with new understanding. The hidden civilizations weren't just hiding. They were nurturing the galaxy itself, helping it grow into something greater than the sum of its parts. "And if we choose this path," she asked, "then you begin a new journey," Zhang smiled. "One that never ends, for there is always more to understand, more to discover, more to protect and nurture. You become part of the greatest project in the galaxy's history, the cultivation of wisdom itself." The representatives faded away one by one, leaving only Zhang. "We'll be watching, as always, not as judges, but as potential allies. The galaxy is entering a new age, one where the greatest power lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the choice not to. The question is, are you ready to help us build it?" As Zhang's hologram faded, Mira turned to her crew. Their patterns showed the same understanding that flowed through her own crystalline form. The hegemony had spent 10,000 years building an empire of stars. Now they had the chance to build something far greater, a legacy of wisdom that would echo through the ages. "Send word to every world in hegemony space," she commanded. "Tell them what we've learned, what we've been offered. Tell them of the choice before us." As the quantum messages spread across the galaxy, Mira watched the hidden civilizations continue their eternal dance. Humanity's warning had not been an ending, but a beginning. They had shown the hegemony a door, but the choice to walk through it, that would be the greatest test of all. And somewhere out there, patient as always, humanity watched and waited, ready to welcome another guardian to the eternal vigil of the stars.